CM Waters, what do you hope the success of Guardians 3 will tell Marvel about how to proceed with future movies? Okay, so there's a couple different ways to kind of take this one. So what's fascinating is its Rotten Tomatoes score isn't as impressive as it feels like it is, because it feels like fans are loving this one, but its Rotten Tomatoes score is a little bit, like, it's very good, but in Marvel terms, it's a little bit low, because it's around 80%. Captain Marvel's at like 80%. Ant-Man and the Wasp is at like 88%. So when you have like 80% for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, it feels kind of muted of a Rotten Tomatoes score, but audiences are loving it. Audiences are saying this is a satisfying conclusion. This is what Marvel movies used to feel like. Awesome. Thank you, James Gunn, for delivering something that feels like what it used to feel like. But then its opening weekend was kind of soft. It was only a little bit more than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It was significantly less than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 here in the US. But almost immediately, it started to show signs of really great legs. As the word got out, no, this is a Marvel movie worth seeing, it started to show immediately smaller declines than normal, and sometimes boosts where you would normally have a drop. So much so that it looks like for its second weekend drop, most Marvel movies over the last 4 years, their second weekend drop, over 60%. Frequently over 65%. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was 70%. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is looking to be 50%. Fantastic hold for a Marvel movie. They tend to be very front-loaded, and so some of that is opening weekend was soft. People were a little bit more skeptical, hesitant to head out to go see it. They heard it was great, and then people went to go see it. Fantastic hold, great word of mouth. I think there's a lot of things to interpret even your question. So the success, I assume you're talking about the quality that people connected with it, but also that it has legs. I think the reason that it has legs is because they made a movie that lived up to people's expectations, and a lot of recent Marvel movies have either been polarizing or, generally speaking, disappointed people. And you finally have one that some people are like, too much animal cruelty, but everyone else is like, there, you did it. That was what I was hoping for. That was satisfying. That felt earned. I think the big, gigantic thing you learn out of that is that it was written by one person who had a clear vision for the story. James Gunn wrote this script before Endgame came out. One guy wrote the script, and he stuck with it. Watch the interviews with him. He'll tell you, I always knew Rocket's backstory. We alluded to it in multiple ways back in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. He said he had an idea where he was going for Volume 3 when he was writing Volume 2. One guy telling a story about characters that he loved and was passionate about. And you feel that passion as you watch the movie, and it has a cohesive, consistent vision from beginning to end. And I think what do they need to learn? That is what you need. Not a committee of people trying to crack the code. In all the projects that feel like they're the MCU committee, they're not being well received. I think just like I mentioned this in a number of videos recently, but in the same week where Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out and James Gunn is like, virtually nothing changed since I was fired 5 years ago. This is the story I always wanted to tell. Same week, the America Chavez actress from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, she says, hey, don't get mad at the writer that the script wasn't great. They asked for 33 rewrites. They did. And you just read that and you immediately go, the actress in the movie says it's not the writer's fault. It's their fault. Who is they? They? I've been using this phrase, directed by committee, for a while now, talking about some of these MC movies that just don't feel like they have a distinct flavor and vibe to them. The they wasn't Sam Raimi, the director of the movie. The director didn't keep going to the writer being like, no, change it up. The director knew what he wanted to do, and you can feel the Sam Raimi-isms in the film, but he wasn't in charge. Whoever the they is, whoever that person is that America Chavez is referring to that kept demanding rewrites, that committee kept reworking the film. Like, they brought in comic book movie legend Sam Raimi to do a Doctor Strange film, and instead the movie was made by them, whoever they are, in charge of the script, demanding changes, rewriting the film, reshooting the film, changing it last minute, throwing a bunch of cameos in, changing who the cameos are. Same thing happened again then with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where all the reports are saying they reshot the ending a month before the movie came out, and you watch the end of it and you go, why did that thing have any bite to it? Why didn't it have any teeth? Because they didn't want to commit to anything. The team hadn't decided where things are going next. So they have this generic ending where it's happy. Kang might have died, but maybe just got zapped into some other realm or space or something like. It just was like this nothing of an end. Like, it didn't satisfy at all. It felt completely void of stakes, danger, consequences. Because it came from the committee, the story group. Just contrast that. People are really satisfied by the movie written by James Gunn that has a distinct vibe to it, distinct story, distinct sense of humor, distinct vision for these characters that he started writing it 10 years ago, and he stuck to that. Versus they changed the ending of Quantumania a month before it came out. That's the big one in my mind. They need to move away from these story groups, these teams of writers, and get back to tight teams of either writer-directors or directors that work with specific writers that have a clear vision for what they're trying to do. And that in my mind, that's the big thing that I'm seeing. That's what, even that the script was written 5 years ago for Guardians 3, it was before this kind of current era of the story group, the certain writers that have been brought in over the last several years, before they were anywhere around any of this stuff. And so it just feels different. And that, it's like watching an old Marvel movie. Right, because the script was written 5 years ago by a guy that was hired 10 years ago. Versus all the stuff currently being written by this group of people. This committee is demanding rewrites or whatever, whoever they are. That in my mind, that's what I see. That, please, Kevin Feige, stop with the theys controlling things and get back to trusting storytellers to tell stories. And that looks like that's what DC's going to get.
Most of these clips are pulled from my weekly Patreon live stream. Join at any level and you can join the chat and ask all the questions you want. That's for as little as $2 per month. For $5 per month, you can get your name on my end card. For $25 per month, you can have a monthly video chat with me. Link is in the description for more details, and keep talking movies and TV too much.